As drive from Silverstone, the home of the British Grand Prix in Northamptonshire, a former industrial site has been turned into an oval racing venue. This is Rockingham Speedway, and the infield being used for round 6 of the TVR Tuscan Challenge. Good start from the second row of the grid by Troy Dunlop. He gets a little nudge as he tries to go between Steve Guglielmi and Giles Cooper, and it's Cooper with the yellow roll hoop who leads them through the first turn and down towards the double left-hander. Takes them off the banking and into the infield section, but Cooper goes wide, so does Guglielmi. Troy Dunlop off there as well. Guglielmi the points leader and Troy Dunlop one of his closer rivals off at the first turn. Giles Cooper running out of road as well. Slippery conditions, and this tight infield won't let them get away with any mistakes. Well, more collisions further back. The rear view camera on Troy Dunlop's car showing people going off everywhere. Richard Finney leads. Checkered nose is Steve Guglielmi. Black car newcomer Jay Shepherd. The blue and yellow cars are the Britnell brothers, between them John Hartshorn, and the rest of the field streaming through, those that have survived the opening lap accidents, and among them Ben Samuelson has not survived. TR's pressman out of the race before he's even completed half a lap at Rockingham. Well, most infield sections on oval tracks are fairly flat and featureless, but here at Rockingham there seems to be a valley running through the middle of the circuit, and there's a lot of rising and falling on this infield section, a couple of blind brows. It really is a proper racetrack, not just an afterthought. Well, Richard Finney leading, Steve Guglielmi there in third place now, having been passed by Jay Shepherd, but onto the banking and then through turn 4. Guglielmi getting a great run, gets past Shepherd nice and early and starts to ease away. And watch the blue and yellow car, that's Andy Britnell trying to make a move on Jay Shepherd for third place. Andy and brother Gary surrounding this man John Hartshorn, and whoa, mistake there going into the chicane by Andy Britnell. Came down off the banking too fast and too late. Safety car is out as a result of those first lap incidents, and that means the drivers should slow right down now. The safety car has missed picking up the race leaders, so he's either going to have to catch them as they slow right down or wave through the entire field. Well, we see cars off everywhere. This is the incident at the first corner. Giles Cooper in the black car, behind him Steve Guglielmi, and way out wide there Troy Dunlop goes well off as well. Giles Cooper spins round, Dunlop goes all the way round the long way. Further round, that's Steve Cole getting nudged off into a spin. Looked as though that may possibly have been the number 7 car of Darren Dowling who made contact with him. Steve Cole on the outside of that tight bunch and losing out. And here, Andy Britnell, the blue and yellow car, chasing Jay Shepherd down towards this first chicane off the banking. Shepherd gets in late, Britnell tries to turn inside him, and the car isn't having any of it. The tail continuing on round the banking against his wishes. Well, Troy Dunlop into the pits, possibly as a result of getting squeezed on the run through between the front row men. And this pit lane in the familiar American layout of the hot pit, where everybody stands behind the wall. There is Darren Dowling. Looks like he has suffered in that contact with Steve Cole. He's going no further either. Well, the safety car finally with leader Richard Finney, then Steve Guglielmi, Jay Shepherd and the rest behind him. Giles Cooper, the black and yellow car, not quite sure how he's got that far up. He must have been right at the very back after spinning in the first corner. He seems to be ahead of John Hartshorn. I'm not quite sure why. Maybe he's picked up a couple of places when the safety car was out without realising why everybody was so easy to pass. Well, Richard Finney braking too late as they come off the banking at racing speed. He's passed by Steve Guglielmi, and Finney going off on the outside there. So Guglielmi back in front as he was after qualifying. Finney second, Shepherd third, Giles Cooper with John Hartshorn just avoiding being collected by Giles Cooper as he came everything locked up strongly down the inside, a little too strongly. Hartshorn battling now with Gary Britnell. He had Andy in front of him before, Gary still behind. And Giles Cooper there in front, the black car with the yellow rollover hoop. There is Hartshorn, Gary Britnell behind him, the number 2 machine with a checkered noseband, that's Hugh Marshall. Marshall teammate to Guglielmi and Darren Dowling. And then Andrew Delahunty behind them, and Andy Britnell in the second blue and yellow car at the tail of that long group there. In fact, he's now got past the darker car of Delahunty, and Hugh Marshall in car number 2 will be his next target. Still slippery, drivers struggling with their 450 odd horsepower to try and find the traction they need out of the slower corners. Andy Britnell's done a good job there, got a good run on Hugh Marshall, but in too late into that right-hander over the brow, and the car runs out of road. And Giles Cooper there just about holds on, but John Hartshorn now right with him. And that's a vital corner to mess up there, or a really poor corner to mess up, in fact, because it leads on to the high-speed banking and completes the lap. And Hartshorn with a much better run through. Giles Cooper allows him to go by. Well, he didn't have much choice, because in the starter's tower, you could just see from the onboard camera, they're showing him the black flag, because he did pick up places under the yellow flag, and he shouldn't have done. Still the blue and yellow car, Andy Britnell battling with young Andrew Delahunty. And there's his brother Gary, chasing John Hartshorn. So Giles Cooper starting so well up on the front row of the grid. That mistake at the first corner, costing him plenty. Well, Steve Guglielmi also going off there under braking, but didn't spin. That's why he was able to recover and lead the race, as Andy Britnell goes by Hugh Marshall, this time rather more successfully. Diving down the inside under braking. This little fast left-right chicane there. Quite challenging corner over the rise. They go into it and then down and back up the other side. Again up the hill here to this right-hander. Quite heavy braking. It's John Hartshorn coming through with Britnell right behind. Gary there, and then Andy next up. So the cars and the nose dip down. Oh, and Gary on the power a little too early, chasing Hartshorn as hard as he can. So he runs out wide. His brother and the rest of the chasing pack will go through. Now he's going to have to sit and wait for a gap in the traffic, and that's lost him a lot of places. Well, he's still ahead of Giles Cooper. Cooper just flying through the shots. Meanwhile, Richard Finney with a good run out of turn 4, right on the white line at the bottom of the banking, chasing leader Steve Guglielmi to the line there, very close still, and the Findus car late on the brakes. Good line through there from Guglielmi will gain him just a fraction. Richard Finney a little less tidy through that little chicane, down off the banking, but still well within striking distance. So Guglielmi will have to mind his P's and Q's. Guglielmi has really been fairly much in charge of the TVR Tuscan Challenge this season. A string of pole positions and race wins to his credit. He is the championship leader. He seems to have been able to find a good car setup pretty much anywhere they go. Richard Finney, a regular front runner 2 and 3 years ago, missed out last season through lack of finance, and now back at the front again. There's Steve Cole, the number 3 machine, back in the action. He's chasing in this little group behind Peter Wheeler, the chairman of the TVR company. And there, the number 9 car of Gareth Evans, right behind TVR boss Wheeler. And still the lead battle continues. Guglielmi being able to keep the Findus car at arm's reach. And Richard Finney, who started 5th on the grid, not quite close enough to get his nose alongside the race leader at any stage so far. But he's keeping him honest, and who knows, the pressure may yet pay off. Evans there behind Wheeler. Peter Wheeler runs a little wide. Enjoys his racing, does Peter Wheeler. And a very gentlemanly driver as well. To say, I don't think he's wildly worried about winning the championship. He doesn't want to mess up the races of anybody who is in a points battle with their rivals. Steve Cole looking at the inside as Wheeler gives him racing room. Cole coming out very tight there, doesn't have enough drive to get by. Steve Guglielmi still at speed in the closing stages, being run down by Richard Finney, and John Hartshorn holding off Andy Britnell still. Well, Hartshorn has driven a good rear guard action. Let's see if he can hold on to this 4th place from Britnell in the last lap. Steve Guglielmi running out of turn 4 towards the checkered flag. Richard Finney with him, but still not close enough. The checkered flag waits, and he punches the air with delight, Steve Guglielmi, as he wins. Meanwhile, behind Jay Shepherd, the 3rd place man, here is the battle for 4th. Red car, John Hartshorn. Blue car, Andy Britnell. Hartshorn with the right drive out of the corner, but Britnell is chasing him very close from behind. Can he get him at the line? It'll be a near photo finish. No, John Hartshorn definitely had it there. He holds on to 4th place ahead of Andy Britnell and Andrew Delahunty taking 6th. But look at the gap. 1st to 3rd, 11 seconds.